It was a regular day, or at least it felt like one, until it wasn't. My name is Rachel, and I manage a hotel. My life is all about handling check-ins, check-outs, and, of course, complaints. That day, I was at the front desk when a man stormed over. He looked rich, fancy suit, slicked back hair, the whole package. He slammed his phone on the counter and glared at me. The state of my room is unacceptable. Who's responsible for this? He snapped, his voice sharp and annoyed. I smiled politely, keeping my cool. I'm really sorry about that. I'm Rachel, the manager. Let me take care of this for you right away. He huffed, still glaring. I hope so. I was about to call the owner. What's your name again? Rachel, I said calmly. Let's fix this. How about I upgrade you to one of our best rooms for free to make up for the trouble? As we walked to the new room, I noticed him start to calm down. Sorry for blowing up like that, he admitted, scratching the back of his neck. I'm Sean. I've been on the road for weeks, and it's really getting to me. No worries, Sean, I said. We all have days like that. Let's just make sure the rest of your stay is better. I opened the door to one of our top rooms, and his face brightened. This will do nicely. Thanks. Seeing him relax was a relief. While I filled out some paperwork, we started chatting. He told me he was a cryptocurrency investor, traveling to enjoy the perks of his work. It's not as glamorous as it sounds, he said. I can imagine, I replied, handing him his new room keys. But at least you meet interesting people, right? He chuckled. Yeah, like hotel managers who know how to handle a grumpy guest. I laughed. Part of the job's charm. Before heading to his room, he paused. Hey, Rachel, would you like to grab dinner later? I owe you for putting up with me. I was surprised, but nodded. Sure, Sean. That would be nice. That dinner turned out to be unexpected but fun. We talked about everything, from cryptocurrency to pizza toppings. He was easy to talk to, made me laugh, and even listened when I vented about my busy day. After that, we started spending more time together. It wasn't some cheesy love story, it felt natural. After my shifts, we'd meet up for late-night snacks or just walk and talk. One evening, we ended up at a small dive bar. It was the kind of place where everyone knows each other, and the beer is always cold. We sat in a quiet corner booth, the noise of the bar a soft hum around us. Sean was peeling the label off his beer bottle, something he always did when he was deep in thought. You know, Rachel, I've traveled a lot and seen so many places, but life on the road can get lonely, he said. I nodded, taking a sip of my drink. So why keep doing it? Why not settle down? He gave a short, dry laugh. Settle down and do what? Invest in real estate, get a dog, and mow the lawn on Sundays? That's not me. I chuckled. It doesn't have to be that boring. But I get it, freedom's hard to give up. We sat in comfortable silence for a while, just listening to the bar's buzz. Then, without meaning to, I started opening up. You know, after my parents died, it was just me and my little sister, Janet. I had to grow up fast and take care of us both. I put everything on hold, her schooling, her life, everything depended on me. Sean turned to me, his face serious. That's heavy, Rachel. It must have been tough, taking on all that responsibility. Yeah, it was rough, but what can you do? You play the hand you're dealt, I shrugged, trying to keep things light. You've done well for yourself, though, he said, trying to lift the mood. Managing a hotel and all. I laughed, a real laugh this time. Yeah, I guess so. Managing the hotel, paying the bills, making sure Janet had as normal a life as possible. He leaned in, his eyes serious. You're remarkable, you know that? I playfully swatted his arm. Stop it, I said, but inside, his words made me feel warm, like he really understood me. So what about you? I asked, changing the subject. Ever think about having a family? Sean shifted in his seat, looking a bit uncomfortable. Family, that's a tricky one. Let's just say my parents and I don't really see eye to eye. They have their empire, and I have my life on the road. An empire, huh? I teased, bumping his shoulder. Sounds fancy. He gave a small smile. Not as fancy as it sounds. More like a lot of expectations and being tied down. We spent hours talking that night. It felt like opening up to each other broke down some walls. I didn't even realize how late it was until the bartender started putting chairs on the tables. Things with Sean had been going well, but he always kept a bit of distance when it came to serious conversations, like where we were headed. That was until one evening, when everything changed. I had invited Sean over for dinner at my place. It was the first time he'd seen where I lived, other than picking me up for dates. He walked around my apartment, looking at everything. This is nice. Really nice, Rachel. I didn't expect you to live in a place like this, he said, sounding genuinely surprised. I laughed and spread my arms. What, did you think I lived in a shack or something? After my parents passed, they left us in a good spot. We sold their house, and I bought this apartment for Janet and me. I made the first payment on the mortgage, and now it's mine. Sean nodded, clearly impressed. You've done really well for yourself. I mean, really well. The evening went on, and after dinner, we sat on the couch with a bottle of wine between us. That's when he dropped the bombshell. Rachel, I've been doing a lot of thinking about us. My heart started to race as I raised an eyebrow. Oh yeah? And what have you been thinking? He took my hand, his eyes locking onto mine. I love you, Rachel. I know I said I wasn't looking to settle down, but with you, it's different. I can't imagine being anywhere else but here with you. His words hit me like a wave. Just a few weeks ago, he didn't want to commit at all, and now this. But when I looked into his eyes, I could tell Sean was serious. Are you sure, Sean? This isn't just something you're saying in the moment, right? I asked, my voice shaky. He shook his head and squeezed my hand. I've never been more serious about anything. Rachel, will you marry me? The question hung in the air, heavy and meaningful. My mind raced, but my heart had already decided. Before I could overthink it, I said, yes. Yes, I'll marry you. And just like that, we were engaged. A couple of weeks later, Sean gave me a beautiful ring, simple but elegant. It felt like a dream, like I was stepping into something magical I didn't want to wake up from. Sean started talking about the wedding almost immediately. You deserve something amazing, Rachel. Let's have a wedding no one will ever forget, he said one evening as we looked over budgets and venues. I hesitated when he suggested the financial plan. Here's what I'm thinking, he said. I'll handle the planning, since I have the connections. You just provide the funds, say $30,000, and I'll cover the honeymoon at the most luxurious hotel in the world. After that, we'll get a house together. The amount made me pause. It was a lot, almost everything I had, but seeing the excitement on his face made me push my doubts aside. Okay, if you think that's best, I trust you, Sean, I said. I transferred the money into his account, and he took over the planning. Watching him dive into the details made my heart swell. Here was a man who had entered my life unexpectedly and now felt like he'd always belonged. Every night, I went to bed with a smile, thinking about how lucky I was and how perfectly everything was falling into place. As the wedding plans came together, I thought it was time for Sean to meet my sister, Janet. She was the only family I had left, and her opinion mattered, even if she could be a bit much sometimes. We decided to meet at the local diner, where Janet worked as a waitress. The bell jingled as we walked in, and Janet spotted us right away. Her face lit up. Hey, sis, she called, waving us over. Her eyes shifted to Sean. And you must be the famous fiancé I've heard all about. Sean flashed his charming smile and stepped forward to shake her hand. And you must be the beautiful sister I've heard so much about. You two could be twins. I rolled my eyes, feeling both proud and slightly annoyed. Okay, cut the charm, I said. Janet laughed and leaned in playfully. So, Sean, are you as rich as they say? My sister sure knows how to pick 'em. Janet, I hissed, embarrassed. She always knew how to push my buttons. Sean just laughed and brushed it off. Well, I've done all right, but Rachel's right, it's not about the money, it's the love that matters. Janet raised an eyebrow, looking impressed. Smooth talker, huh? I like him. Over the next few weeks, Sean continued to be the perfect gentleman. He was charming, attentive, and always made me feel like I was the most important person in his life. He didn't even flinch at Janet's flirtatious jokes, which was a relief. One day, in the middle of the wedding madness, my best friend Olivia and I went to a bridal shop to find my wedding dress. The place was filled with silk and satin, a bridal dream come true. As I was being zipped into one of the gowns, the reality of it all started to sink in. That's when I heard a familiar laugh from the next booth. Curious, I turned to see who it was. I peeked around the curtain and saw Janet twirling in front of a mirror in a wedding dress. "Janet, what are you doing in a wedding dress?" I asked, surprised. She stopped twirling and gave me a crooked smile. "Oh, just trying some stuff on, for fun." Olivia, who had come over to see what was going on, chuckled. "Looks like someone's caught the wedding bug." Janet laughed awkwardly, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "Yeah, something like that. Let's just say I might need one sooner than you think." "Wait, are you serious? Is there something you need to tell me?" I asked, feeling a mix of amusement and concern. "Just let it be a surprise," Janet said lightly, though her tone felt distant. We all laughed it off, thinking she was just being her usual dramatic self, but the image of Janet in that wedding dress stayed with me, though I brushed it aside and focused on my own big day. That day started like any other, until it didn't. Sean left in a rush after breakfast, mumbling about an important meeting. He forgot his phone on the coffee table, and just minutes after he left, it started buzzing nonstop. Curiosity got the better of me. Maybe it was something urgent about the wedding or work. "It's probably just a buddy checking in," I muttered, picking up the phone. Sean didn't use a password, which should have been my first clue. The screen lit up with a flood of messages from a contact named Janet Banana. My heart sank. Janet? Why was Sean texting my sister so much? I told myself I was overreacting, but I opened the messages anyway. What I read felt like a punch to the gut. "I can't wait to be with you forever," Janet had written. "Forget Rachel, it's you I want standing beside me." And Sean had replied, "Soon, love, we just need to play along a little longer." She's so clueless it's almost funny. Each message cut deeper. They were talking about the wedding, about me, about how they planned to use my money to start their life together once I was out of the way. But the worst part? Janet was pregnant with Sean's baby. The room spun. I felt sick. My sister, my baby sister, who I had practically raised, was betraying me, and Sean, the man who had promised to love me, was the one handing her the knife. An hour later, Sean came back, looking flustered. "Hey, babe, you see my phone?" he asked, kissing my cheek like nothing was wrong. I handed him the phone, a fake smile on my face, the same smile I'd perfected over years of dealing with guests at the hotel. "You left it here," I said sweetly. "You must be slipping, leaving your lifeline behind." He scrolled through the phone, probably checking for missed messages, while I watched him closely. Did he have any idea that I knew? Did he even care? But Sean was clueless, lost in his own lies. He laughed at something on the screen, and I felt my fists clench. "Laugh it up, Sean. Enjoy it while you can." Later that night, as we lay in bed, he was all smiles, talking about our future. "It's going to be perfect," he said. "What is the meaning of this disgrace, Sean?" his father thundered, his voice silencing the room. Sean froze, his face a mixture of fear and desperation. "Dad, I can explain." "Explain?" his mother interjected, her tone icy and cutting. "Explain how you've tarnished our family's name with your lies and betrayal?" Their eyes swept over Janet, who stood trembling, her wedding dress now a mockery of what the day was supposed to be. Then they turned to me. "Miss Rachel," his father said, his voice softer but no less stern, "we owe you an apology for our son's deplorable behavior." I stood there, calm and composed, the years of holding myself together in tough times paying off. "No need for apologies, Mr. and Mrs. Walters. I think Sean has done enough to show who he truly is." The murmurs in the crowd grew louder as people began to piece together the scandal. Sean looked like a cornered animal, trying to salvage what was left. "Look, we can talk about this privately," he stammered. "There's nothing left to talk about," his mother snapped. "You're no son of ours. Consider yourself disowned." Janet gasped, realizing the magnitude of the fallout. She turned to me, tears streaming down her face. "Rachel, please, I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I was stupid and—" "Save it, Janet," I said, my voice firm but not unkind. "You made your choices, and now you have to live with them. I've been cleaning up your messes for years, but this one's all yours." The priest, who had been frozen in place, finally spoke up, his voice shaky. "I think, perhaps this ceremony should come to an end." "Wise choice," I said, turning to the stunned guests. "Thank you all for coming, the show's over." The guests began to shuffle out, whispering and glancing back at the chaos. Sean's wife stormed out first, dragging him by the arm, while his parents followed, their faces masks of disappointment and fury. Janet was left standing alone, her tear-streaked face a picture of regret. I walked up to her one last time. "Janet, I hope you figure things out, but from now on, you're on your own." With that, I turned and walked out of the grand hall, leaving behind the shattered remains of what was supposed to be my wedding day. As I stepped into the cool evening air, I felt a strange sense of peace. I had lost so much, but I had gained something priceless: freedom from the lies, the betrayal, and the weight of others' expectations. It was time to start anew, and this time, I was putting myself first. Janet's face crumpled as she stared at me, tears threatening to spill. "Rachel, please, I'm sorry for everything. I was stupid, and I let him manipulate me. I didn't mean to hurt you." Her words hung in the air, heavy with regret. Part of me wanted to embrace her, to tell her everything would be okay, but another part, the part that had endured her betrayal, held back. "You made your choices, Janet," I said, my voice firm but not unkind. "I can't fix this for you. You have to figure out how to take care of yourself and that baby." She looked at me, desperation in her eyes. "I don't know how to do this without you. You're the only family I have. And I've been your safety net for too long," I replied, crossing my arms. "This is your responsibility now. I hope you learn from this, Janet. I really do, but I can't keep cleaning up your messes." Janet nodded slowly, her shoulders slumping as if the weight of her actions finally bore down on her. "I understand," she whispered, turning to leave. As the door closed behind her, I felt a pang of sadness. She was my sister, and I had loved her fiercely, but love couldn't erase the pain or rebuild the trust she had broken. In the months that followed, I focused on rebuilding my own life. I went back to work, throwing myself into my career, and started therapy to process the whirlwind of emotions I had been through. Janet reached out a few times, sending updates about her pregnancy. I responded with polite encouragement but kept my distance. I knew she needed to find her own strength, just as I had. As for Sean, he remained a ghost, a cautionary tale I carried with me. His disappearance was a blessing in disguise, a reminder that I had dodged a bullet. One day, as I walked through the park, watching the golden leaves fall, I realized something profound. I was free from the lies, the betrayal, and the weight of carrying others. I had learned to stand on my own, to trust myself, and to value the life I was building. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine, and that was more than enough. Closing the door on Janet that day was one of the most painful decisions I'd ever made. She had been my sister, my responsibility, my family, but she had also been the one to break my heart in ways I never thought possible. Life didn't suddenly become perfect after that, but it became mine again. I started waking up without the weight of betrayal pressing down on my chest. I reclaimed my time, my energy, and my happiness. Work became my sanctuary. I threw myself into projects that reignited my passions. I joined a pottery class, something I'd always wanted to do but never had the time for. Slowly, the pieces of my life began to fit together again. Occasionally, I'd hear updates about Janet through distant family friends or mutual acquaintances. She had a baby girl, and from what I heard, she was managing, not thriving, not flourishing, but getting by. I hoped, truly hoped, that Janet found strength in being a mother, that she learned from her mistakes and became the person her daughter needed. As for me, I found peace, not the kind of peace that erases scars or makes you forget, but the kind that lets you move forward, the kind that reminds you that you're stronger than the worst things that have happened to you. There are days when I still think about Janet, about the bond we had before everything fell apart, about the way love and trust can be fragile, but also about how self-respect and boundaries can be life-saving. I don't know if Janet and I will ever find our way back to each other, but for now, I'm okay with where I am. I've learned that sometimes, love means letting go, not just for them, but for yourself.